coming to terms with the death of loved ones.
It was a slow, twisty, horrible kind of death.
No.
Is difficult for most people.
Family members were dropping like flies.
But there are rare exceptions.
Louise was so fascinated by death, she had the local mortician on speed dial.
In the 1900s, women know their place is in the home, raising a family. But one young Chicago wife, Louise Breenkamp, doesn't really like children. She prefers the company of corpses.
She went to work for no pay, mind you, as an assistant to a local funeral home undertaker.
What are you doing here, Louise?
I heard about poor Mr. Pitt, taken so young. I thought I could help.
He recalled quite vividly her joy, almost gleeful exhilaration at the chance to embalm, at the chance to be around dead bodies.
Louise was sort of a death groupie. She just couldn't get enough of hanging around and seeing the dead bodies.
Her desire to be around corpses was because she was known as a necrophile, someone who becomes excited and aroused in the presence of dead bodies. It's very rare.
It's not that Louise has any spare time. By 25, she is caring for 5 stepchildren and struggling to keep her home orderly.
Frank, Lillian! Stop bickering!
To the annoyance of her much older husband, 60-year-old Fred.
Why can't you keep an orderly house? The children, this mess, it's an embarrassment.
Fred's complaints are short-lived. He soon succumbs to a mysterious illness.
There were no cures for what are commonly treated ailments today, and stomach problems were quite common.
So when he dropped dead, no one really considered anything nefarious.
Fred leaves his family well provided for, thanks to his life insurance. And Louise decides to invest it in death. She becomes a partner in a Chicago mortuary.
She took his insurance policy, roughly $2,000, and transferred it over to the Chicago Southside undertaker. She promised that she would deliver to him clients.
True to her word, Louise delivers customers. The first, her 4-year-old stepdaughter, Florence.
So soon.
Within a year, another stepdaughter. 8-year-old Cora suffers the same horrendous symptoms.
Horrible, horrible, prolonged stomach pain. It was a slow, twisty, horrible kind of death.
Grieving Louise is still young and beautiful, and soon has a new man to help her heal.
She finds a man named Charles who has a son named Harry, and she inserts herself into that family.
Father, I need to talk to you. Alone.
But not everyone is happy with their union. Charles's son Harry doesn't warm to his new stepmom.
Why don't you ask her about the proceeds from the property at Crystal Lake?
Charles, are you going to let him stand there and insult me?
He had the lingering suspicion that there was much more to this woman.
Why don't you prepare supper and we'll discuss this over a meal?
Of course. It would be my pleasure.
But before the dispute can be resolved, Harry is in the morgue.
No one really looked at Harry's death. She said that he died of heart failure, and they believed it.
Another stepdaughter, Lillian, soon joins him. And then, her new husband.
Next, Charles comes down with illness. He's very, very ill.
Charles died within 6 days of taking sick. Again, she collected a sizable insurance payout.
Everyone thought that Louise and her family were cursed. Her husbands, her stepchildren, they kept dying.
When her last surviving stepchild, Frank, is bedridden, his nurse is Louise.
Well, she looked after him, showing the angel of mercy side to them, the Florence Nightingale side.
He suffers for at least 6 months with his terrible illness while she's right by his side.
Trapped in bed, Frank has time to think.
No. There's something wrong with that. I'm going the same way as Dad.
On his deathbed, he said, "I'm going to go the way of my father. I think I've been poisoned."
His death brings the toll to 2 husbands and 5 stepchildren. Despite so many deaths in the hands of one caretaker, there is no investigation. Nothing to stop Louise's deadly greed. Louise Vermilia is fascinated with death and corpses. In the early 20th century, she buys into a Chicago mortuary, then fills it with customers, her own family.
One after another dropped dead, and no one really questioned it because mortality was high.
The deaths set Louise up as a wealthy woman, thanks to life insurance payouts. She buys another business, a boarding house for lonely itinerant men.
Even as she advanced into middle age, she was still quite fetching, this beguiling temptress.
I suggest you take along. I make it plain so people can add their own.
Railroad conductor Richard Smith soon falls for her cooking and charm.
He became bewitched, if you will, by Louise and fell in love with her and began courting her quite seriously.
But Louise won't succumb to love without security.
He signed over his life insurance to her so she can cash in on that.
And then all of a sudden, he died.
Not one for grieving. Another boarder soon catches Louise's eye.
Arthur Bissonnette had just been admitted to the Chicago Police Department.
Who's it from?
My fiance.
Louise always gets the man she wants, but not this time. Arthur isn't falling for her.
Bissonnette was a young man, and Louise was quite older than him.
Ada?
He had a fiancée and was apparently engaged and was contemplating marriage.
If Arthur won't be her lover, Louise knows another way he can satisfy her.
Some more pepper?
Yes, please.
Arthur gets violently ill and dies.
Louise always gets her man, dead or alive, but she prefers them dead.
She might have had a sexual gratification coming from the notion that she controlled the life and death process of her victims, that she could send a person to eternity through her own volition.
Not all necrophiles get their kicks simply hanging out at funeral homes. Some of them get their kicks by creating a dead body out of someone that they killed.
But this is one dead man too many. Arthur's father is suspicious and insists on an autopsy.
They actually looked for traces of arsenic, and they indeed found that. It seemed quite compelling, real proof that she was indeed a murderess.
Investigators start looking into Louise's past and find the trail of death. More bodies are exhumed and more arsenic found. Police realize Louise's murder weapon for decades has been a special seasoning.
She was using rough on rats, which was a rat poison full of arsenic.
She had a little pepper box that she would put grains of arsenic in, and she would sprinkle it over their food. This is how she administered poison to her victims.
With her poisoning exposed, police have a strong case for murder. But Louise isn't finished with her pepper box yet.
She took enough grains of arsenic to severely paralyze herself. She lost control of her feet, she could not walk, and she lost control of her hands.
It's a dangerous and audacious play for sympathy in court. But a wheelchair-bound beauty is a gift to her defense attorney.
He played her up as kind of a sob sister, if you will, a hard-working woman who had been plagued by tragedy her entire life. The jury did not hear any of the evidence that linked her to Fred Brinkamp, Charles Vermillion, Harry Vermillion, the three daughters of Brinkamp. None of that was admissible.
A sympathetic jury refuses to convict a crippled woman. A split decision means a mistrial, and the prosecution drops the case. In 1912, Louise Vermillion is wheeled out of court, a free woman.
This was a very soulless woman, completely lacking in compassion. There was no sense of guilt, there was no sense of remorse, and all of that adds up to a sociopath.
Louise received financial benefit from some of the murders, but not all of them. In addition to killing for money, she killed for pleasure.
Some women want their prince charming.
She was dark. That's how I think of her heart, is dark.
No matter what it takes.
They died a slow death, a painful death.
But this story has no fairy tale ending.
Ellen Etheridge gives new meaning to the term evil stepmother.
Meridian, Bosque County, Texas. In 1912, Ellen West's future looks bleak. The 46-year-old is a penniless widow living with her parents.
They were very, very poor. She didn't get much of an education at all, and her prospects for future were very dim.
So, Maddie, tell me what happened in town the other day.
Ellen doesn't help herself. She's not one to socialize.
She was dark, short, heavy-set, and she stayed to herself.
Ellen, honey, why don't you come join us here? Yeah, why don't you start on this one? We got loads of squares left to do. Come on.
I don't want. The neighbor women said that she was sullen.
She just has her funny ways. So, Mr. Lynch, walking along.
Didn't want to, gossip with them or communicate with them.
Bang, 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 bang.
Her sister, Maddie, decides it's time for Ellen to stop sitting around. She gets her a job as a housekeeper in a very crowded house.
I need some help.
J.D. Etheridge is the proud father of 8 children and has another one on the way.
The children, from all accounts I've read, seemed to be well-behaved, well-mannered children. She had an older daughter at home also to help with house chores and the taking care of the children. It shouldn't have been too much of a burden for her.
Well, she's gonna have to rest up, but I'm sure she'll be up and around in no time.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you for everything.
J.D. soon becomes a father for the 9th time.
Look at our beautiful boy. She's lovely. She's lovely.
The new parents are thrilled.
Boy looks like his mother.
Mrs. Etheridge had the baby. The doctor was there. Everything was fine with the delivery.
But the celebrations are short-lived.
The doctor was called back the next day because Mrs. Etheridge had died.
It's okay. I'll take care of you. Yeah.
J.D. was devastated by the loss of his wife.
It'll be okay.
She was the mother of all of his children, and that meant a lot to him, because his children were the world to him.
J.D. desperately needs help to care for his large family.
He wanted them cared for, but that required the presence of a new mother. So within a couple of months, he had married Ellen Etheridge and brought her in to care for his children.
It's not uncommon in those days for the housekeeper to become the new wife. But Ellen doesn't like sharing J.D. with his children.
J.D., are we going to town? J.D., you said we're going to town.
Oh, sorry, Ellen. They need an engine, honey.
But you promised.
Oh, no.
She felt ignored and neglected because J.D. wanted to spend all of his time taking care of his kids, making sure they were all right, and making them happy.
He did everything he could for his children, and I suppose that Ellen was really jealous because she had developed a true passion for Mr. Etheridge.
While doing her daily chores, Ellen comes up with a plan. In June 1913, within months of their marriage, Ellen mixes up a potion containing the caustic ingredient in laundry detergent, lye.
Lye is a very strong alkali. It's basically pure sodium hydroxide. When it's ingested or when it's drunk, it basically burns you from the inside out.
She feeds the lye to 2 of J.D.'s children.
The symptoms of lye poisoning are virtually instantaneous. The burning is going to be intense.
Pull yourself together, man. You have 2 sick boys here.
The children were vomiting, they had diarrhea, they were complaining of pain. What the doctor didn't know at the time was that they had lye inside of their bodies, and it was eating them from the inside out and destroying their throat and their internal organs as it went down.
There is no way Ellen didn't know the horrible agony those two children were suffering as a result of her feeding them lye.
Ellen has an explanation for the children's agonizing illness.
Ellen Etheridge said that she had seen them eating green apples, but then later she said that she thought it might be diphtheria. Diphtheria was common at that time, so nothing was done.
Ellen gets away with murder, and she isn't done yet. There are 7 children left.
She already had in the back of her head that she was going to systematically eradicate all the Etheridge children so that she would have Mr. Etheridge to herself. I really believe that was her goal.
In 1913, Texan widow Ellen finally gets what she's dreamed of: another husband, father of 9, J.D. Etheridge. But she's jealous of his children.
Ellen Etheridge was a child killer. And she did it in a most horrible fashion: poison.
4 months after killing 2 of his children, Ellen sends 5-year-old Oscar and 9-year-old Dick to collect the mail with their 7-year-old sister, Pearl. Then Ellen makes up another deadly concoction, this time with arsenic.
It was a long walk to the mailbox, and they were thirsty when they got back.
Hey, cats, come on in. Let's buttermilk, come on.
The cornbread and buttermilk that Ellen served to them was a special treat. This was something they really enjoyed, so she knew that she would have no problem getting them to eat it.
There you go, pal. Drink up now.
They had no idea that within that sustenance, there was also a killer. She had laced them both with arsenic. Arsenic was once again, at that period of time, just like lye, a very common household product.
All 3 children soon complain of pain and nausea.
It's hard to imagine that one adult could inflict that on another adult, but to do it to small children is just an act of horrible evil. She'd already seen months before 2 children suffer badly, and yet she was willing to make 3 more suffer again. This is a cold-hearted woman.
4 hours after drinking Ellen's poisonous brew, both boys die.
The boys were thirstier and drank their buttermilk faster, and that's why they got so sick. The little girl didn't drink much of the buttermilk.
Says you're gonna pull through, honey. You'll be fine in the morning.
Little Pearl, because she hadn't ingested as much of it, pulled through and survived it.
In those days, child death is common, but 4 healthy children in one family dying within 4 months raise suspicions.
When the doctor came and saw what had happened to those children, he knew that Ellen was responsible. He'd seen the first 2 children die, and he was determined to make sure the truth came out and make sure that Ellen paid for her crimes and no more children died.
the doctor calls the sheriff.
They found a locked trunk under Ellen's bed. They found inside there a packet of arsenic that was hidden down among the contents of the trunk.
This wicked stepmother is a serial killer.
Once Ellen was arrested, she admitted what she had done. She also confessed to killing the first 2 children by administering lye.
One unlikely soul protests Ellen's innocence. Her loyal husband, J.D.
Throughout the whole affair, stood by her. He couldn't believe that she could do such a thing, and believed right up until the very end that she was innocent.
But the evidence is overwhelming. Ellen is convicted on 4 counts of murder and serves 18 years in prison. But did she get away with one more tragedy? The sudden death of the first Mrs. Etheridge.
The reason she might have poisoned Mrs. Etheridge is because she wanted to be the next Mrs. Etheridge.
I believe there's a chance that Ellen may have killed her husband's wife. Who was taking care of her? A woman that turns out later to be a serial killer.
What's your favorite?
Twisted love and unhealthy jealousy turned a simple woman into a child killer.
Was she so driven with her jealousy that she honestly thought that everything was going to be okay and she would finally have Mr. Etheridge to herself? Was she such an insecure person that she needed all of his attention? What is in a person's heart that they can't share love with children for their father?
I think if she hadn't been stopped there, she would have gone on and on until they were all dead.
The most important thing to a predator is prey.
Generally, whatever was around is what she'd take.
Separate the victim from the herd.
She was becoming more and more sophisticated in how she would get them along.
And don the perfect disguise.
Don't open the door unless you know who's on the other side. Chicago in the late 1980s. 34-year-old Dorothy Williams is a woman in a long-term relationship with crack cocaine.
This was a young woman with trouble from the very beginning. Dorothy was a drug user, a drug addict, and she had been for a very long time. In fact, by the time she was 14, she was using heroin and cocaine.
Like many addicts, Dorothy's affliction dominates her life. Her actions and decisions driven by one thing.
To get enough money for a fix, that was really all that mattered. It was going off in her head over and over, I need drugs.
Dorothy isn't earning any money. She steals to feed her habit.
Dorothy hung around the Chicago Housing Authority, which is a place for elderly people, and she would look for somebody that maybe she could victimize for money.
Dorothy picked her victims very carefully, not unlike a predator that moves around the outside of the herd, looking for someone weak, looking for someone helpless, looking for someone that wouldn't put up a fight.
Hello?
She tried to set up a situation where she was alone with someone that was helpless.
Many elderly adults live alone.
Come right on in.
Sometimes she would pose as a nurse. She would go to somebody's home and say that the county sent me and I'm here to help you. But really what she was doing was trying to get inside the house.
Give me your money.
Dorothy moves from apartment to apartment, robbing the elderly.
Dorothy was a very strong woman. These were all folks, you know, well into their 70s or 80s, rather slight, frail, elderly senior citizens. Not much match for Dorothy Williams.
Another victim, another fix. Robbery isn't Dorothy's only illegal means of getting cash.
She was selling herself for money. I believe that Dorothy was working as a prostitute in senior buildings.
In 1987, Dorothy visits a regular customer, Lonnie Laws.
I ain't paying you nothing, girl. You better go and get out of this. Can pay you what?
Lonnie was 79 years old. She was trying to get him to pay her some money, and they had an altercation.
You need to pay me now, Lonnie.
I ain't got the money. Don't you go on. Go on.
When Lonnie refuses to give Dorothy extra cash, she takes intimidation one step further.
She became enraged. She took his belt and actually strangled the 79-year-old for the $50. After she strangled him, she goes through the house again looking for whatever she can get that she could sell or that she could keep for herself.
Dorothy has a total disregard for other humans. She treats them like garbage. She would do anything for money. Robbery, burglary, prostitution, and finally, murder.
Lonnie Laws dies for little more than loose change.
She was ready, willing, and able to kill if somebody resisted sufficiently to keep her from getting what she wanted.
A year later, the murder remains unsolved. "64-year-old Caesar Zuel has no idea he is keeping company with a dangerous woman until he refuses to give Dorothy money.
When he didn't pay, she and he got into a scuffle there in his apartment.
Come on, $50. I ain't giving you no money.
He was trying to save his own life when he pulled out a pocket knife.
Get away from me! I'm paying you nothing.
She grabbed that knife and stabbed him to death.
She was out to get all the money that she needed, and if you got in her way, you were dead.
Again, the cash rewards for murder are small. To Dorothy, it doesn't matter.
One thing that tells me that Dorothy really liked killing people was some of her targets were very, very elderly people. She could have controlled them with a threat, a push. But she chose to really hurt them.
2 elderly gentlemen are dead. Dorothy is becoming a monster. Chicago, Illinois, 1989. To fuel a drug addiction, 34-year-old Dorothy Williams starts stealing from, then murdering the elderly.
In the animal world, predators stalk the young, the weak, and the elderly. And Dorothy Williams was no different.
Dorothy is a predator with abundant prey.
The most vulnerable people that she could find were in some of these senior public housing projects where she could get access, get inside, and take advantage of people.
July 25th is a day like any other for Mary Harris and her daughter, Mary Ann.
Clean up a bit for you.
Marion had spent about 4 or 5 hours with Mary earlier in the day, attempting to, just help out around the house and spending time with her mother.
I'll come check on you.
Mary Harris was just a sweet little old lady. She was 97 years old.
Mary Ann leaves. She has no idea her mom is being stalked.
A lot of killers gain entry to their victims' homes because they knocked on the door and pretended to be friendly and helpful.
Hi. I was running some errands.
Don't open the door for anyone you don't know. Period.
Wanted to know if you wanted anything. Oh, how nice.
Mary has no reason to be suspicious when charming Dorothy offers to run an errand.
Mary asked her to go to the store and get some milk. She put $2 down on the table. And as she did that, Dorothy noticed a stereo system that she knew she could sell for money to feed her drug habit. So the next thing that happened was she and Mary got into a tussle.
Mary was wearing a scarf around her head. She pulled it down over her head and neck and started to choke her with her scarf that she was wearing.
Dorothy has abundant strength to simply subdue the feeble woman and walk away with the spoils. But she chooses to subdue her victim forever. A long life stolen at the hand of a thief.
Mary Harris was survived to age 97 in good health, had a daughter that she loved, and that she made it all those years. And Dorothy, Dorothy ended it. Without Dorothy, she would have lived to be 100.
I think there's a special place in hell for people who prey on the elderly. There just is.
Hunting for money or anything she can sell, Dorothy loots the dead woman's home.
And she ransacked that house. She opened every drawer, turned things out, and left with the stereo and the $2. That's what the value of a human life.
Dorothy has already gotten away with 2 murders and has become complacent. She leaves Mary's apartment in full view of a neighbor.
He saw Dorothy Williams, who he knew did not belong in the building, walking out of the building carrying a box.
He kind of was curious. Why was she coming out of Mary's apartment? Where was she going, and what did she have in that box?
Excuse me, sir, is this your apartment? Oh, no.
Mary's body is discovered later that night. Other witnesses start coming forward with a detailed description of Dorothy.
She's a tall lady, taller than yourself, taller than myself, yeah. Black lady, white lady.
So the word is out. People are trying to find Dorothy. Where did she go? What did she have to do in terms of Mary's death? And this witness saw her at a bus stop. She had dyed her hair and she was wearing glasses. She obviously was trying to change her appearance to get away from what she had done.
But she can't run away from the forensics. Her fingerprints are all over Mary's apartment. Confronted with the evidence, Dorothy confesses. Investigators dig deeper.
It was by, learning that she had done this that someone realized, my God, let's check some of these other cases. Is it possible she's done this before? And that's when they discovered her fingerprints on the scene of both the homicide of Lonnie Laws and the homicide of Caesar Zuel.
2 more sets of fingerprints lead to 2 more confessions. On April 18, 1991, Dorothy Williams is sentenced to death for the murder of Mary Harris and 2 life sentences for killing Lonnie Laws and Caesar Zuel.
Dorothy is currently serving her term at the Dwight Correctional Center. A few years ago, her death sentence was commuted to a life sentence.
Many believe it was the illicit drugs that caused the death of these 3 innocent victims. Dorothy didn't see frail, elderly people. She just saw her next fix.
I don't think Dorothy cared who she killed, whose grandmother it was. It was just somebody that was in the way of what she wanted, which was that money.
Dorothy Williams is a serial killer. Plain and simple. If she hadn't been stopped after 3 murders, who knows how high the body count would be? She needs to spend the rest of her life in prison. She is exactly where she needs to be.